So next we have Kim Burke. Kim is UC faculty, an innovator, and I will let you control your slides there. Take it away.
Great. Thanks. Hi, my name is Kim Burke, and I am with the Division of Experience-Based Learning and Career Education at UC. And I am here with my son, Casey, who he and I have come up with this idea. And we've been playing around with different ideas and finally decided to come here to try to see how we might be able to make it work. So what we are really trying to do, designers are very ignored in the market. And so we are trying to find more efficient and cost-effective practices for hiring, especially for small architecture and design firms. So our opportunity came when we saw kind of the statistics. 60% of architecture firms, this is according to the AIA, have 5 or less employees, and 91% have less than 50 people. So there's a lot of opportunity there because they are not the target for big operations and for recruiters. They tend to get ignored. And the AIA has also reported that the #1 challenge right now in architecture is just finding and recruiting qualified staff. So as you know, the market has been just really hot in most areas, and architecture and design is no different. So, you know, as our example, we have a small employer, and this is one of our co-op employers, TDA, then Design Architecture, and they are a relatively small firm. They do happen to have an HR person, and so when they go to hire, which they try to do because they're growing and expanding like crazy, they have pretty much one of 2 options. The first one is to post on a job site. They happen to post on Indeed. So what happens? They get plenty of applicants, but none of them are qualified. And there's no way for them, I mean, they have to go and sift through them. And then we do have them. It takes a lot of time to try to go through the screening process and everything else. They've tried recruiters, but they don't get much attention from recruiters because they don't hire that often that they're a real target for recruiters. So they've gone through that process. They've had some very bad luck. And so they're kind of looking at what other options they are. Unfortunately, architecture is a service-based industry. That means every hour that an architect works or anybody in the office, that time gets billed out. So if they are not paying attention and they're not doing their work, what happens is that they lose money. So if an architect, and that's what happens, is the HR people don't know design. They really can't conduct the interviews. So what ends up happening is that the architects have to stop what they're doing. Generally, it's the principals, which are the ones that are billing out at the highest rate, which can be anywhere from 250, 500 plus, per hour. They have to stop doing that and then spend time interviewing. So time is money for them, and it really doesn't work well the way that the current recruiting process works. So what we're offering is a lower cost way that would be a lot more efficient for them, which is Correlate. And if any of you have ever been on eHarmony, and I'm sure if you haven't been on it, you have seen the commercials. And what they do is they try to match. So they're matching people. We're trying to match employers with employees. And so that's kind of our big thing. So basically the way it would operate is very similar to the way that eHarmony operates, which is where the employer would put in a job profile and say exactly what it is that they were looking for. The employee puts in a profile and talks about what they're looking for. And then we use a 20-point system to go ahead and try to match them. And so we've looked at, well, how do we go about doing this? So our idea is to start to do some different assessments. One would be a work style assessment, finding out exactly how each person works, how each company works. And so what is the company looking for in the way that someone works? Trying to find a good match, because a lot of times you find that the high employee turnover is due to being in a situation that doesn't match the way that you want to work or what your skill sets are. And so we're trying to change that. So the second one would be a personality assessment. Again, we're not trying to put people in a box here. We're just trying to help them to find the best fit for the job. Lastly, a skills assessment, because in design, it's a lot of skills. You have to know a lot of programs. You have to know a lot about different things, about architecture, about design, whatever it is. And so we plan to partner with people that actually do skills assessments like Adobe and try to find out how exactly we can get a level. And then if a job searcher doesn't have the skills that they're looking for, how can we help them to get them? So pointing them to the correct resources. So if they find that they're failing in these areas and they want these kinds of jobs, how do we help them to get there? So we also thought once they put in a profile, they could keep that profile in the system to try to connect with other people along the way. And so that they would have the opportunity then to continue to network through this program. So a little bit like LinkedIn, but in a different way. And we figured the business model would work, that there would be paid subscriptions, paid for both the job seekers and for the employers to put them in there. We would continue that. So if once they put them in and they wanted to keep their profiles up, we could do that. And that would be paid networking. So they would continue to pay a small fee. And then we think we could get some ad revenue out of this as well. So in looking at the kind of markets, we're looking at kind of bridging the architecture design market and the recruiting market. This only shows architecture numbers, and the billings for firms that are under 50 people is at $2.3 billion. So it's a pretty substantially sized market. So revenues are expected to increase. So that means that there's even going to be more jobs out there. In terms of recruiting market, it is massive. So $28.5 billion, or $28.5 billion, $200 billion worldwide. So there's plenty of room in the market for another opportunity and another way to match people. So what we're really looking at doing is trying to find strategic partnerships, looking at partnering with people like Adobe, Autodesk, some of the people that do assessments already that are doing work styles. So we don't want to create our own necessarily. We want to try to put all these pieces together to get them to work for us. I have the unique opportunity that I work with co-op students in architecture and design, and just in architecture and interior design, we have over 600 jobs listed. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of students that go through the program. So we have a great test market, and that's where we would like to start. And that's why we're looking for IRB protocols to try to figure out how to get it in there, test it through the co-op students to make sure that it actually works. And then this is our team, which happens to be also our co-op team. So all the people, and we actually have a lot more than that, that are interested, but putting this together first in place with co-op students and then moving forward to take it maybe into production if we find out that it works. So what we're looking for is a partnership with an EIR to try to help us to figure out how to move this forward. We really do need help in partnering with some of the assessment providers. We've got pretty much clout here at UC because DAP is a well-known program. We've got a lot of students and a lot of partnerships already. So we're hoping to just be able, that might be a natural connection. And then help with IRB, because that's one of the sticking points if we're going to be using human test subjects, and then IP protection if this project goes. So we see a lot of opportunity for growth in this market once we get it established. So this is what we're looking at. And this is myself. I'm Kim Burke and my son, Casey. Any questions?